Hello. As promised, I am back with more videos that will break down how I'm tackling homeschooling and also working full time. This is video number 2. In video number 2, I will break down how I came up with my homeschool plan. As most of you know, it was a big shock to parents all across the U.S. just to try to figure out how am I going to balance homeschooling my child and also working full-time at home. And so this was a big adjustment for a lot of people. And with this video, I'll explain how I came up with my schedule and how I navigated to figure out things. The first part that I wanted to discuss is coming up with the schedule. A lot of places that I looked initially, they just told you that you needed a schedule, but they never provided what a schedule entailed. So I had to go look at what the school was doing already for my kids. So you know those schedules that they give you when school first starts where they tell you this is what your child is going to do in different times? Those schedules. I actually have those still. So I went and looked at those, and I also looked at what some other people were doing as far as a more condensed schedule. So I looked at all that, and this is how I initially came up with my schedule. So after I looked at that, I started putting a schedule together. And one of the main things that I made sure is on my schedule, and everyone should do, and that's number 2, is always include breaks in your schedule. You never want to have a schedule of where a child is learning for a straight 4 or 5 hours and there's no breaks, there's nothing. A child is not going to grasp stuff after a certain amount of time. And especially I have 3 boys, so I knew they're very active and I had to include a schedule of breaks in there. So how I've done our schedule is my boys do 4 hours of learning a day. So they'll do 2 hours of learning, they'll break for 2 hours, and then they come back and do 2 more hours of learning. And I kind of catered the breaks around all the, the little snack breaks and breaks in between. I've catered them around when I have the majority of my phone calls at work. So a lot of my conference calls, for some reason, are always around lunch or after lunch. I don't understand, but that's when my calls are. So I've made their breaks around that time, so therefore I can devote to being on conference calls and stuff around that time. Also, the third thing is make sure that you know how your child is learning, how your child learns. And I know each of the subjects that my boys struggle with. You know, all those parent-teacher conferences where they tell you this is what your child needs to work on. That is what I put first on my son's schedule of stuff that they're going to work on. So each one is working on a different thing starting off in the morning. So in the morning, I'll put the subject that they struggle with so that I know that their brain is fresh, and they can sit down and they can get to it. And it has actually really worked here. They will do that subject first, and then the easier subjects towards the end of the day when they start getting cranky and fidgety and they can't sit down, I do those later on in the day. So that is how I kind of tweak and do as far as what subjects I put first, is I put the ones that would require their more of a focus from them as well. The fourth thing is to make sure that you allow your schedule to be flexible and tweak as needed. Each night I take a look at the schedule and I tweak it. Some days I don't tweak it, but I look at my schedule at work because there's times where I have conference calls at different times, and I will move around their subjects accordingly. If I have a conference call, then I'll give them something, all 3 of them, something that they have to do on a tablet. That way they don't have to ask me any questions. They can devote that study time to, reading one of those book assignments on their tablets or something like that, and therefore I can take my call. So I adjust the schedule from day to day. And so doing that has actually helped me be more flexible, and doing it the night before so that I kind of prepare for the following day is what works best. And the fifth thing is make sure that you structure the schedule so that it works for your family. Like a typical school day, at school, they have the certain things that they do, but at home, which I call the Rutherford School of Boys, we do prayer starting off. So we start off with prayer. My boys do affirmations, and we've always done prayer and affirmations at home before they go to school. But one thing I added is scripture. We have a scripture of the week. So cater it however works for your family, whatever, different things that you want to work for your family. Like this week, we're gonna make a cake. All the boys, we're gonna sit and we're gonna do a project, and our project is gonna be making a cake. They're gonna be in the kitchen with me. They're gonna measure the things. So it's gonna be learning and it's gonna be fun. So incorporate those type of things into your learning skills, into your schedule, and just don't make it just straight learning all the time, but creative ways to learn. And the sixth thing is, I would say you don't have to do every subject every day. I think some parents think you have to touch on math, science, language, all those every day, art. I don't do that. I do science once a week. And I'll do some subjects once a week. But math is definitely one that we do every day. Reading, language, that's every day. But certain subjects we don't do every day. But I hit on it at least once a week. Like the boys, well, I consider everyday PE because I send them outside as long as it's not raining. They're gonna get some outside fresh running around type of stuff. So this is just a little rundown of how I came up with my schedule. I hope that this helps because we are all in this together. From what I just heard recently, Georgia schools are gonna be out even longer. Some schools have already canceled for the rest of the school year. So definitely the two main things that have helped me out is having a schedule, because it keeps me on track, it keeps the boys on track, and they know what they have to do, and I think that helps them. And also planning the night before. Go ahead and figure out what assignments the teacher has, and for me, my boys do more than what the teacher sends me. And so that's why I do some planning at nighttime too. The teachers send about 2 hours, sometimes 1 hour worth of stuff. And I'm like, no, my boys are gonna do 4 hours worth of learning every day. And that's just what we have decided as a household, that we're gonna do 4 hours at least of learning. And sometimes it's creative learning, but I want to make sure that my boys aren't held behind or held back because of this time out of school. So when the school year starts back up, they'll not be able to miss a beat as long as I can help it. So any tips that you have on making a schedule, put them down, send them to me. Believe me, I am all open for tips, and I hope that this has helped you as well. Trust me, we are in this together and we're gonna help each other out. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and share. Bye-bye.